Ah. Hello, welcome to Mission Impossible Fallout or Mission Impossible 6 or MI6 review. I saw it last night in the first Thursday preview in IMAX, and it was jam-packed. There's probably like 20 people there. My city's not really into movies, so first things first with my reviews, the score, because I'm just going to tell you right now, 8 out of 10 Fat Mans. And that's a Fallout reference, but not a Fallout reference. It's confusing. But not really. I guess if you're a fan of both, then it's not really confusing. But yeah, 8 out of 10, I would say. It was fun, action-packed, but we'll get to that. The first thing I'm going to say after the score is parents. This is for you. One F-bomb, lots of shits. There was one impaling of a head by a hook, a couple headshots, but the headshots were not of the actual gunman view, but the person taking the bullet. So, and then like it would switch the screen as soon as the bullet went and switch to another screen. So I never saw it. Some bloody scenes, usual actual action scenes, but just that F-bomb was, I think, was out of nowhere, and that impaling by the head, by the hook, was kind of out of nowhere too. Well, it wasn't in the scene, but it is kind of out of nowhere for, you know, in terms of a MI6 or MI movie. So that's the parents thing out of the way. Just those couple side notes. And the review is 8 out of 10. So this is getting to the actual movie. It's projected to make 48 to 65 million, I believe, in a crap ton of theaters. I think it burst the top 5 in terms of how many movies it's showing its opening weekend. I have 4,350 written down on my notes, which is massive. I think Despicable Me is the most, and then Infinity War is up there, and I think this Mission Impossible movie is up there as well. No Jeremy Renner because of other duties. So is that Avengers 4? Because it certainly wasn't Avengers Infinity War. But he couldn't come in here because of that. Of course, we have Tom Cruise breaking his leg in this movie and having to get it postponed a little bit. Well, not the actual movie date, but like production. Which is weird that production can be postponed that long and then the final product doesn't get affected in terms of release date. And then we got Mustache Gate with Henry Cavill, which I don't see why he needed to have the mustache in the first place in the movie. It's currently got a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes with 150 views, with the average being 8.4, which is on par with what I think it would be too. A really cool thing was the Halo jump. I think it's in one or two of the trailers, where Tom Cruise has to jump from a high altitude with a suit on, kind of like in Black Ops 2, I believe, with the main character you play. It was not really a wingsuit, but like the whole get up and like the face thing that shows you how far you got, like in distance and how high you are. Apparently that took over 100 jumps, and for like the actual ones they filmed, they can only do it once a day because the director wanted a certain light. And the director, what was his name? Christopher McGuire. This was his second time directing, writing, and producing along with Tom Cruise on a Mission Impossible film. And it's the first time in the entire series that a director's been on there twice. The other 4 films were one and done directors kind of thing. Paris scene. It's a long scene, it's a long action scene, a long chase scene, a lot of things going on, a lot of components, a lot of actors in the situation, or I don't know how you want to word it, a lot of people involved with this in different ways, and it's all really well done. Like, congrats. If there's just I guess I would go for cinematography for an Oscar, because it's how they go from flipping around and going down these tight, narrow Paris streets and then popping out on another street. And I don't want to toot my horn, but I've been there, and from what I can tell, like the small amount of time I lived there, obviously I'm not a Paris, I don't live there, but from what I remember, I think it's all like kind of like Baby Driver, where everything, if you traced it, it would all make sense. And then the final scene, if I really think I should have clocked it myself, but there's a the atypical kind of spy movie. It's not really spoiler. It's just like a you got to do this in a set amount of time kind of thing. I really do think they were on the ball with it, which I really appreciate when a movie's like, hey, you got 30 minutes to do this, you got 10 minutes to do this, and it takes 10 and 30 minutes to do that. I like that a lot. I don't know. That's just me being weird. But that's my general review. I liked it. A lot of action, fun, kind of repeated storyline, just because I think for the most part, all the other Mission Impossible movies, Hunt or Tom Cruise's character was always to blame for the most part, and someone from the IMF died or got killed or betrayed or blah 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 blah. It's kind of the same. So if you're a huge fan of the series, it's one and the same with a couple minor differences. A lot of returning faces too, new characters as well. I like Henry Cavill's hammer in comparison to Tom Cruise's sickle. I think it's in the trailer in the movie. That's what they're reference to. Spoiler wise though, because this is now spoiler territory, they pulled the twist in the middle. Like they pulled the rug from under you. Well, not really if you thought about it for 2 seconds, but the rug in terms of the plot twist in the middle, and then you had to deal with the fallout of that for the rest of the film. And I kind of feel like, I know it was weird. It made sense because the finale had to happen, and for the finale had to happen, and this is spoilers, Henry Cavill's character had to be bad for a bit. But then there's a bit where his boss, the CIA director, because you got to remember, Alec Baldwin's character, may he rest in peace, because he dies, was a CIA director, but he came to be IMF director from the last film. He died, but the CIA director, the new one, doesn't like the IMF and was like trying to arrest them, and then while at the same time still have Henry Cavill evil, and then the French police were in there, and then the London police were in there, and then another terrorist group was in there, like the Apostles, like the main villain of the film, along with a bunch of arms dealers. It gets very complicated. I said the Paris scene is really awesome because it has a lot of things going on for it. Like all those people show up at once, like in that scene, except for the London police, obviously. But the French, the terrorists, the organized terrorists. Well, I guess the first one isn't really terrorists, more like an arms dealer kind of gang, but they act like terrorists. And then the IMF and the CIA. It was just a lot of stuff going on. It works out in that scene, but in other scenes, it's very clotted. And the face mask thing, it's so cool, but now it's predictable. There's a part where Simon Pegg switches character and they do like a camera 180, and the camera 180 signifies to someone who's seen movies before that they switch the bodies. And so when Henry Cavill comes back and explains this whole plan to the evil guy Simon Pegg's dressed up as, and then he's like, oh, you and your bag of faces, and he's like, ah, shit. And then there's another. It's cool if you didn't think about it, but if I thought about it for more than 2 seconds, I was like, oh, this is gonna happen because plot's gotta happen. But that's the only big spoilers. No one really dies other than Alec Baldwin, and I don't see a huge problem with that. Just gonna be a new IMF director, as there always is, and someone else in the IMF is gonna get evil too. Elsa, Rebecca Ferguson's character, is now wiped clean for Slate. That could be cool. Maybe Jeremy Renner shows up in the next one too. Maybe he could be the IMF director. Maybe Lucius could be too. I don't know. We'll see. It's definitely not going to be Tom Cruise because everyone thinks he's the evil guy every fracking movie. But all in all, it was a fun time. I saw an IMAX by myself, which, first off, seeing a movie by yourself isn't that weird at all. More people should do it. I enjoyed it. No one was trying to whisper to me what they missed, or, like, oh, can I have the popcorn to, like, take me out of the experience? It was just me and the movie. I mean, sure, if it was a crowded theater, that'd probably be a different story. But for this one, where it wasn't too crowded, it was a cool experience. And, like, one I'm going to keep on doing. Because, I mean, who's going to go see Teen Titans Go to the movie with me? No one. But that's it for Mission Impossible Fallout. 8 out of 10. A fun time if you like action movies. And if you really like Tom Cruise, then you've probably already seen it or you're planning to go see it. I say you can go see it on a bigger screen. I think it's worth it. Like the set pieces and how a lot of the action scenes were shot and there's a club scene that's too, like, they're all very cool to have in IMAX. So it's definitely worth the bigger bucks. But that's it for me. I'm Clark Addison, and thank you for watching, because I watch, I listen, I play, because I care. See you guys next time.